Hey, how's it going everyone? Rex Vertex here, and today I just want to share a time-lapse of me creating a digitized drawing of a sketch I did quite a while back actually. This one was just hanging out in my to-do folder for something like 5 years. It's a sketch of two original characters loosely based on me and this girl I dated a while back before the days of my royal beard. And at the time I was writing a series of short stories loosely based around our relationship. Unfortunately, the relationship didn't last, primarily due to the pandemic, among other things, but I came across this sketch earlier this month and thought, what a wonderful way to share some of my process with you guys. So let's jump right into it and have some fun together, shall we? Right, so I started off by doing a quick resketch of the line art in Photoshop. And for those who are wondering, I'm using the Wacom Intuos S and Adobe Photoshop CS6. Old school, I know, but contrary to what a lot of beginners think, you don't need a fancy display tablet to start creating good art. With a little practice, the hand-eye coordination comes rather quickly, and you just need to apply yourself to put in some time and a little effort, and you too will end up with art that impresses you, even though you're the one who made it, which is what I feel whenever I commit to finishing any piece of art. That's the whole point of creating art, I think, that personal growth that comes out of it. Just redrawing this piece makes me realize how far my knowledge of structures and anatomy in 3D space has developed since that first sketch. But now that the line art is complete, I choose some basic swatches to start out with in order to start coloring in the base colors, each on their own layer. This is the funnest part of the process, I think, primarily because you get to see the composition come together right in front of you in real time. And it sometimes helps to change the background color and line color depending on the color you're filling in, so that the contrast of colors helps you fill in the spaces with less gaps. And I mean less because there will always be gaps, especially if you're a perfectionist like me. We will be fixing and tweaking a lot of details as we go along. After the base colors are in and we've adjusted them to our liking, we're going to add in some shading. I usually do a rough sketch of highlights and shades on a temporary layer just to establish a set vision during this first phase, because it can be very easy for me to get carried away. I start by keeping it minimal, and then towards the end we can add more highlights and shadows as we see fit. I usually just go layer by layer, adding one color for shading and one for highlights in this type of drawing anyway. Depending on the style I'm going for, I can even go up to 3 layers each and utilize feathered brushes or even textured ones. But this drawing will be a lot simpler, and I'm sticking to just the hard-edged round brush. And for the hair highlights, I always use the Bezier pen to draw the sharp shapes of the shine's zigzagginess. Boy, is that a mouthful. In fact, anytime I want a crisp and concise line, I will use the pen tool. So if you're a beginner and you're intimidated by how handles work and where to place the anchor points and so on, start by watching some tutorials and experiment it with yourself, because it really opens up a whole new level of shape control to your work. And now to clean up the line work, because there are always a few stray pixels that get left behind after erasing and redoing the lines. I set a wide stroke effect with the contrasting color to the layer so I can erase all those rogue pixels. You may not even be able to see them, but they're there. And because I'm going to add a solid white outline with a glow around our subjects, we're gonna have to clean that up in order to do so. Now the last main thing is to color the line art, also known as color holds. This can be the most tedious because it requires the most precision, but this is also where, as we're going to go over the details of the image, a lot of gaps in the coloring or pixels that either cross the lines or don't meet the lines are exposed. As they keep appearing, stay patient, and while fixing the errors we encounter along the way, my strategy for coloring in the lines is pretty much for every base color, I add a layer above the line art, using it as a clipping mask and coloring over the line with the color darker than the darkest shading, and usually color shifted a bit to the right. Usually shades tend to be slightly blue shifted and highlights red shifted, but of course this will depend on the ambiance of the piece that you're creating. After that's all done, it's time to play around with adding some more highlights and tweaking some shapes and finalizing some lines. Of course, it's hard to tell when a piece is done because I can forever just keep correcting things and working on them. Like Volna's earring here. I tried tweaking it as much as I could, but with all the coloring done, it was really hard to adjust it to my satisfaction. A good tip of advice is to really finalize the line art before you start coloring it in. Take a step back after every stage and assess your work because it can be hard to see flaws when you're constantly looking at the piece. And now I'm going to add this one big highlight to her hair, sketching it out using the brush, but of course finalizing the contours of the shape with the pen tool. And I honestly think I can now call this piece done. But wait a minute, I guess I didn't even mention the characters' names at the start of this video. Her name is Volna, which means wave, and his name is Nieba, meaning sky. And yeah, she was taller than me. But anyway, this has been a fun little piece with a bit of nostalgia and just one that I can share a bit of myself and my process with all of you. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have other ways of how you do similar things or any advice you'd love to share, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.